Hey everyone, welcome back to the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode 135. I'm back, Larry here.
And Anthony here.
What's going on, Ant?
Oh, I don't know. Welcome back, bud.
Thank you, sir.
That's what it is. You were sorely missed last week.
Thank you.
I hope the Long Island Sound is totally full with your tears.
It was it's as you saw, I had to fly in people to try and fix the Virtual Boy, but it still is what it is. I think at this point, Ant, I think it's official RIP for the Virtual Boy on the Retro Gamers.
Well, I was actually hoping you were giving it a Viking funeral. That's what I would have loved to see.
Then Harbor Patrol just shows up.
Exactly. Sir, what are you doing? No, it's okay. It's okay. We're laying a Virtual Boy to rest.
So from this point on,
did you give it the 10 coin salute?
Whoa. I should have. Oh, that would have been nice. No, I called that helicopter was a lot of money for me, but it was worth it for the gimmick.
Yes.
So, but first and foremost, I'd like to thank Josh from Victims and Villains for filling in for me. So I greatly appreciated while I was at WrestleMania weekend and also attending the G1 Supercard.
Very nice. Yeah, and thank you, Josh, for joining me as well. We actually went through an interesting topic that we never covered before, and it was just bad games in a franchise. We got to cover a bunch of stuff. I know people don't generally like to talk about bad games. I'm like, but it is a part. Look, it's a part of the gaming.
We thrive on it.
What?
We thrive on it.
I was just going to say, I mean, yes, we thrive on it. Some other people do as well. But it's just, it was actually interesting to dive into successful franchises and missteps that they took.
Yeah, right.
Because, look, not everything can be a winner.
This is true. This is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here, and thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, folks, if you're watching, you can also listen to us on iTunes, Spreaker, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're listening to us, you can watch us on YouTube.
Yes.
And, hit them up with the YouTube URL there.
It's youtube.com/RetroGamersPodcast. Similar to that, you can check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast. Follow us on Instagram @RetroGamersPodcast.
Yeah, it's we're all over the place. We are slowly taking over.
Yep. You can also email us at email@theretrogamers.com. If you have any questions, comments, complaints. We tend to ignore the complaint emails. Most of them are about Larry. I delete them before he sees them.
What? Wait a minute. This is the first I'm learning of this.
Well, oops.
And as you can also see, while I was gone, I was robbed.
Larry was robbed.
Yeah. So,
I think what happened was his mother showed up and said, "That's it. That's it. I'm done with this."
Is honestly probably not far from the truth.
It probably isn't. But Larry, yes, you are officially moving.
Yes, I'm going to be moving. I'm moving up to the east side, actually to the north side. So bigger apartment. So actually it's going to be a little bit of I'm also working on a nice area for the computer and for this. So that will be really cool. And just in general, just kind of moving on. So
yeah,
looking forward to it.
Hey, onward and upward. That's where we go.
I've been living in basements for almost 15 years. It's about time I get some sunlight in the morning when I wake up.
Yeah, I don't know. You might turn to dust.
Listen, either way, it's better than living in a basement. So
very true as a former basement dweller.
And we were talking about all the spots that you can listen to us, you can watch us. And we got to work one day on trying to figure out how we can get into virtual reality.
Yeah, well, are you talking about us, like, specifically? Like, we need.
Why not? Yeah, watch the show in VR.
Oh, yeah, no.
Oh,
No.
I tried, Pete.
I think it was hard enough for us to turn to video.
It was.
I don't think anybody wants to experience us in full VR. I think, actually, you know what? I mean, if you're interested in horror or horror movies, maybe it would work. But I don't know about the two of us being in VR. But you bring up an interesting topic. Because, and again, as we have laid the Virtual Boy to rest, which was one of the first, which was, I mean, let's give Nintendo credit where it's due, one of the first forays into virtual reality, so to speak. Or they're trying to do something virtual. They were going 3D, but it was kind of heading in that direction.
It was, Genesis had something. What didn't television have something? Somebody had something really early on. Yeah, but again, it was 3D.
Yeah, again, it was more 3D, but that was kind of the impetus for VR. That's where we kind of built from. I remember actually really quickly, just
Yes.
you mentioned the Genesis. I remember the Genesis activator. Do you remember the activator? It was the octagon you put on the floor, and it was supposed to be like you can fight in the fighting games. Didn't work very well. So
it was like a rocket.
But bringing up VR, VR has been kind of at least in terms of home consoles, VR has been kind of a I don't know. It's kind of got a stigma to it where it's not wholly popular. People feel like it's just kind of a fad and it's going to fade eventually. Yet there's some persistence to it. It's kind of been hanging around, and I just feel like where people think it's kind of on the downward trend, I feel like it's actually building itself up. It's just been a slower process.
I agree. I mean, virtual reality, the idea, not just the 3D. Virtual Boy was 3D. The thing with the Genesis, I forgot what they called it, or the Intellivision was 3D, the 3DS. But we're talking actual virtual reality where you strap this headset on and wherever you look, you see what's there.
Yeah.
That's been around for a long time. And you're right. I think, for a little bit it was being pushed and then maybe died down a little bit, but starting to come back. Unlike 3D that hit but then just fell off the map. Virtual reality, I think, is going to be this next wave. I mean, we got Oculus. We got even the simple. I remember
Oculus
cell phones.
I was going to say HTC Vive, I think, is another one, right?
That's another one. And even a simple, I think I packed it already. Just like Google Cardboard that I think was free, and you buy it and you make like Google virtual reality goggles and you just put your cell phone in it.
Yes, I remember that.
Like that. So VR is coming into play, but now it's really starting to step up a notch because now home consoles are really starting to push it. And it's funny because, Ant, knowing you for so long and all joking aside, I know how you are with like first person shooters and stuff like that. And I know you don't like them. So I thought you would never take to virtual reality.
I know, it's true.
Until recently when you texted me.
Yeah. So, and it's a very interesting story because I've always said, I can't do first person. It gives me really bad headaches, and then those turn into migraines, and it's a very bad day.
And then you're just no fun to be with.
No, and I'm no fun to be with anyway. So I'm just really no fun to be with when the migraine comes on. There's projectile vomiting. It's all kinds of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
4D.
So I was always convinced. I'm like, VR will never work for me because even today, like earlier today, actually, because we're recording on Sunday, I was playing Dead by Daylight on the Hope Station marathon, which is the 48-hour marathon Victims and Villains does to raise money for mental health awareness. So I was playing Dead by Daylight, and Josh asked me to play as the killer, as the Michael Myers, and I said, fine, I'll play one as the killer, but I can't do more than one because the killers are first person in the game, and after one game, I can already feel my head starting to hurt. So even today, first person games do not work for me at all. So
now,
go ahead.
With that being said, because actually on last week's episode, when you recorded it, you even told Josh, you're like, once we're done recording, I'm going to my friend's house who's like demanding that I try the PlayStation VR. So, you got your arm twisted. So what do you think walking into that?
Yeah. So my friend Mike, what's up, Mike? I know you don't listen. But my friend, so my friend Mike, who I also actually, he's one of the guys I play Dead by Daylight with regularly. We were talking about it, like probably 2 months ago, I want to say. And he's like, dude, you have to play PlayStation VR. And I told him, I said, no, I was like, I can't even do first person games. I get headaches. 3D never works for me, all that stuff. He's like, no, trust me, you're going to do it. And we were talking about it for a couple of months. And then eventually, finally I was like, okay, fine. I was like, let's set a date. I'll come by and I'll just try it. And I figured I'll go there. We'll play for like a half an hour, and I'll be like, okay, this isn't for me. So went to his house last Saturday, and, immediately off the bat, starts off, he's like, okay, so we're gonna play this game called Beat Saber. And now, have you ever okay, so
I haven't played it, I've seen it.
Okay, so Beat Saber is basically like a Guitar Hero or a Rock Band kind of game. So it's a rhythm game where the you have stuff coming at you on the screen, but instead of like strumming a note or something like that, you're holding with the PlayStation Move controllers in your hand. You're holding two lightsabers, and you have to slice the blocks that are coming at you in the direction that they're telling you. So down, left, right, and up. And obviously,
I didn't realize you had to do it in a direction that they tell. I just thought you just had to swipe to hit them.
No, you have to do it in the direction that they're telling you, and in the color, because you have two sabers. You have a red and a blue.
Yeah.
So so it's an interesting way of doing a rhythm game, and of course it goes to the beat of whatever song you choose. So Mike I don't know if Mike knew this, if it came up in discussions or anything, but he really knew how to sell me on it right away, because I'm a big fan of Rock Band. My friends and I, like, every once in a while we still play it. Like I'll pack everything up, bring it to my friend's house, and then there are like 7 or 8 of us that are just switching off playing Rock Band, and it's great. So it was a very easy first sell, but like I said, I was like, my first concern is always, am I going to get a migraine? I'm like, because no game can ever be worth playing, to get a migraine for. It's just, my migraines are severe. So popped on the headset. I'm immediately looking at the menu screen for Beat Saber, where you're basically just picking a song, but then just taking my head and just looking around, and I'm like, wow, okay. I was like, there's nothing, for Beat Saber, there's really not much going on. It's just kind of like, there's like a blue, like it's a bluish thing with a bunch of like stars hanging around. Let me ask you,
because I've seen Beat Saber, I never played it. Like, when you have the VR headset on, when you're looking around, is the screen following you, or basically here's the main menu, but when you look, the main menu stays where it is?
So what you have is the main menu does not follow you. So what happens is you have the main screen here where you choose what song you want to play. To the left, if you go look to the left, there are modifiers that you can add. So you could do no fail mode, or you can speed the song up, things like that.
That's cool.
And then to the right, they have a leaderboard.
Okay. All right, cool.
So those are the screens. And then if you keep looking around you, it's just kind of, like I said, like a bluish starry sky.
Exactly.
Kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it was cool. So pick a song. Obviously never played it before. Play it on easy. I'm like 30 seconds into the song, and I'm like, yeah, this is really cool. I was like, okay. I was like, all right.
Sold.
So I'm already starting to like this thing, and I'm like, okay. So we play a couple of rounds. We play a couple of rounds of Beat Saber, and then a couple of other friends showed up. So then basically, we went to lunch for a little bit, came back, and then we were just alternating on Beat Saber. Everybody was taking a song and playing, and it was just awesome.
And just to mention, when the person is playing on the headset, you can still watch on the television.
Yes.
So there's other people around, you can still see what he sees. Basically.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, people are still watching the game on the screen.
Yeah.
But you're following through the perspective of the person wearing the headset. So in other words, when they turn their head, you're going to see what he's seeing at all times. So
which is cool as well.
Yeah, which is cool, and at the same time, though, it takes a little getting used to watching somebody play, because just as a normal person, we don't sit still very much. Like, even if we're even like the way I'm sitting right now, talking will make my head, do these little motions, and the VR headset picks that up. So when you're watching somebody play, every little movement they make is actually moving the screen. So that part actually takes a little getting used to.
I hear you on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, my friend Mike, who owns Beat Saber, of course, is showing. He plays on the expert level. So literally, like, sitting there watching him. So it's like, it is weird watching somebody play, because like, I'm watching him, and like, to give you a good reference, if you know of the WWF tag team, the Bushwhackers, and how they would come down to the ring, that's kind of what my friend reminded me of while he was playing Beat Saber, because his arms are literally flailing all over the place. And now he's playing on expert mode, so he's like, the notes are coming at you fast and furious. So we played that for a little while. It was an awesome game. I'm like, okay, I go, if I were to buy a VR, this would be the first game I would buy.
Okay.
Hands down. But
Literally.
I'm not just going to buy a system for one game, unless it's Nintendo and Zelda. But
You're better than me.
yes, so I was like, there needed to be more to offer. So then he showed me a couple of other games, and
Were they like demos or like actual games?
no, he had some other full
Okay.
games. So I'll go through a couple of those. One of them was Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know if you've heard of this game, but basically you're controlling a little robot on the screen, and the object is to get through the levels to save the other robots. And then when you save the other robots, they actually jump into your PlayStation controller. So you know the little action pad. It's really cool. Like it's weird. He kind of goes behind them and kicks them, and then they just kind of fly up in the air and like land into your PlayStation controller. And then if you look down at your controller, you see how many of them you have in there.
That's cool.
It's really cool. But the game itself, like the levels are really cool. It's kind of like being inside Super Mario Odyssey.
Ooh, okay.
So it's like you're in the world and you can look around and see everything, and then your character's in front of you, and then you move the character around on the board. But the interesting thing about it is like as you're jumping up to different platforms and everything like that, the board, unlike in Mario Odyssey, like if you jump up to a platform, obviously the camera goes up and levels with you.
Yeah.
In this game, when you're jumping up on levels, you're actually doing it from a distance. So like if the guy's going up on a level, like I'm looking at him all the way up there and I'm like, crap. I'm like, how am I going to get him down without him falling? So it adds like a new dynamic to it. It's like true 3D. It's like I'm watching my friend climbing a bunch of rocks, but I'm controlling him climbing the rocks. And I will say this also. When there were two games, this was one of them, but there were two games where while I'm moving the bot around, you look down and there's just sky and nothing.
That's uneasy, right?
So like the first time I looked down, now I have a fear of heights. I can deal with it in certain situations, but I can't deal with it when my feet are on the ground. Yeah. So like if I'm in a plane or something like that, it's no big deal. I was like, but if I'm like walking up to the edge of a cliff or something like that, I start to get like dizzy and panicky. So like I literally on my plane came, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And we get to a ledge and I'm like, oh. I literally jumped up. I was like, oh nope, can't do that.
I've experienced that in like playing as well, like in real life. Just as an example, like at WrestleMania, they did a flyover. MetLife Stadium. It was gorgeous. It was 4 helicopters. So the helicopters flying and they hovered, and they were literally right above where I was sitting. So as I'm looking up, and I'm perfectly on the floor, but as I'm looking up, I start to get like vertigo.
Yeah.
And that's kind of happened with me with some of the demos because I have a PSVR, and that exact same thing happened to me. Like, whoa, where am I? What's going on?
Yeah. So I was definitely getting that with Rescue Bot, but like I said, the game itself, it plays kind of like Mario Odyssey, but you're in the game with the character, following him around. Super fun. And then, and speaking of kind of getting vertigo and stuff like that, switched over to another game called Farpoint, which is kind of a sci-fi game.
Okay, I haven't heard of that.
And basically, you're on a mission. You're on a mission in space. Something happens, and you crash land on an alien planet.
Okay.
And so you're basically walking around this alien planet. First off, the visuals. Absolutely stunning.
Right.
And again, for VR, you're talking a 360 view. So it's like when I would turn my head behind, like when I would turn all the way around, you're seeing the whole planet.
I think it may also be in 4K. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not sure. I don't have a 4K TV.
So I don't know.
So but anyway, so you're turning around and you're seeing all of this stuff, which is really cool. And then, their little alien things come out and you shoot them and whatnot. But then again, same thing happened, like walked to the edge of a cliff and just looked down and started to freak out because I'm like, holy cow. I was like, no. I was like, let's get away from the cliff. It was very Grand Canyon-like. It was kind of crazy.
Yes.
But but again, another game where it's like, that's one where I would debate on whether or not I would buy it. And the only reason why I say that is because it's kind of first-person shooter-like in a way. So, but I enjoyed it. A couple other ones to point out. I did a demo of this VR thing called Kitchen. Have you done that one?
No.
Okay. So it's on the demo disc that I had that came with the it's on the demo disc.
I must have missed it. Okay.
Yeah, it's called Kitchen. So And basically, you're sitting. So basically, it's very like dark and dirty kitchen. There's a video camera in front of you, and you're sitting in a chair, and you're using the regular PlayStation controller for this.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a guy on the floor, and then when you move the PlayStation controller to move, you see that your hands are bound.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and then the guy gets up and he tries to get you free, and then as he's trying to get you free, this zombie-like thing attacks him, and it's right in front of your face, and you're just watching all this happen. Really creepy, and it was only like maybe a 6 or 7 minute demo, but what it was a demo for my understanding, I think it's a demo for Resident Evil 7, which if you buy it, you can play that entire game in VR.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of games on the PlayStation have a VR mode. Even Tetris Effect has a VR mode, which is useless but awesome.
Well, Tetris Effect actually, like when I was looking online for this, just looking into games that were available because I was debating, am I going to do this or not?
Yeah.
And Tetris Effect is listed on one of the most recommended games to buy for VR.
It's
weird. I haven't played it.
It's weird. I mean, it's Tetris, so it's very straightforward. Tetris Effect is just gorgeous because every level has this look to it and this soothing music and sound. It's very actually calming and peaceful to play. But when I played it in VR mode, it just, no offense, don't get me wrong, the game is fantastic. It just didn't make sense in VR because basically I was just playing Tetris. It was the same thing as watching it on TV, but it was just right in front of my face. It's just more like you have the headphones on, so the music is better and everything. So that's the only way. I would still get the game anyway, but for VR mode, But did you try any of the horror games? Because I feel like PlayStation VR really excels with the horror genre.
No, that was the only horror game we tried. And Mike is a big horror guy, so I talked to him about the other ones because I know there are some that are really good, and he threw out some names. He's like, "Oh yeah, these are other ones you should try and stuff," but we never got around to it.
Yeah,
because there were so many other things like he wanted to show, so we were kind of bouncing around.
Okay.
Batman Arkham VR was another one we tried.
Ooh, I haven't tried that yet.
So that was actually really cool. It's not big, at least the part that I played wasn't big on any action. So I don't know how action games would work in it. But basically you're a Batman. So you start off in Wayne Manor. Yeah, exactly. You start off in Wayne Manor. Something happens. You have to make your way down to the Batcave, suit up. And the beginning of it, it's kind of very detective mode. You're being Batman the detective, and so basically you're going into the Batcave. You find your car. And also that's the other thing too. It's like you don't drive the car, at least in the beginning. Like I said, you kind of teleport to the next thing.
Gotcha.
But the full Batcave, like literally, that was another game where it's like you go in, you find you use the piano to access the Batcave, and then you're in an elevator going down. And when you look down to see the Batcave coming up at you, it is far. It is so far down there. I was like, okay, just look up. I was like, just look up. Okay. But then like you go into you wind up in an alley, and Nightwing. Spoilers. Nightwing has been murdered.
Oh,
so Nightwing is dead right at the get-go.
Wow.
And you go into this detective mode where you're trying to recreate the scene of what happened there. And as you uncover the clues, you actually start to replay what happened to Nightwing. So then you're actually watching the action of Nightwing getting in a fight with this guy when he winds up getting killed. And as Nightwing is battling this guy, he's kind of going around you. So you have to kind of turn your head to see all of the action that's going on. It's really cool.
That is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I gotta try that. Before we get into another game for VR, for PlayStation VR, there is a horror game. I can't remember the name of it. It was one of the demos that I have. And it's like a circus theme or something. But I remember this was just the opening credits. I didn't even play anything. And I think it's like a rail shooter. Like you're on one of those. So as you're going through and you just look, you're in this sub level of somewhere, like a basement level or something. And as you look, every room that passes by, it's either empty or like you see like some person in there just laying down, but you can't stop moving. So it just goes past you like a clown. Oh man, it is eerie. Eerie.
See, that game doesn't sound appealing to me. I'm not good with clowns.
Well,
So
But yeah, the PlayStation VR is ridiculous. You know, I know you said you immediately went out and pretty much bought it as soon as you were done playing the demos and everything at your friend's house. I bought mine literally after I saw Ready Player One.
of course.
So I went to the theater. I mean, I've already read the book before
I
the
want
theater.
to be in the Oasis.
No, for real. I'm sitting in there and I'm like, I need a VR. And I saw the movies. The movie theater was in the mall. So I just ran right across to the GameStop and I immediately bought one. And they were like, yeah, the only version we have is the one that comes packed with Elder Scroll, which I don't even want to play.
Yeah.
A Skyrim, excuse me, yeah. And I'm like, well, it's the only one you got. I'll take it.
Well, but I heard Skyrim's an amazing game.
Oh, it's great. I just haven't.
Yeah.
Here's
in
my
VR.
I haven't had a chance to really play it because, like, the VR, because of how this is why I'm moving upstairs. There's a lot more room, so I'll have more access to everything. I can't really like steadily keep the VR headset out. Yeah. And it is a process to hook up, not a major one, but it's a lot to hook up to the PlayStation to get it going. So when I go upstairs, it's going to be a different ball game. But I definitely, once I'm upstairs, once I'm in the bigger apartment, and once I have better access to my systems for PSVR, I am getting Iron Man.
Yes, I heard. Yeah,
you talked about it last week. Oh my God.
I heard. Yeah, I've seen it, and everybody keeps saying the same thing, that it's a complete game changer.
I mean, you are Iron Man. You are in the suit. Everything you see when they have that shot in the movies, you know, outside the visor, or even looking into the visor. Just imagine the other way. I can only imagine. Well, it's not Jarvis. What is it now? Who talks to you?
Friday.
Friday, yes. So from Dragnet. So, you know, when you hear her in your headset, and I can't even imagine just looking around and seeing all the stats. I can't wait. And I think if that's going to be good, can you imagine like the superhero games that can come out?
Oh no, like I think this. I don't think this was necessarily a test to see if people would like it. I think it was just a teaser. Like, we're gonna whet your appetite, because when a full Iron Man game or other superhero games come out, they're gonna be off the wall.
Well, that is a game. The Iron Man game is real. It's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Batman was another one of that. You know, like another version of that. It's like, here's what it's like to be Batman, and that Arkham VR experience was really cool. But and then playing in that vein, since we're talking about Iron Man, which is Marvel, which is Disney, and Disney owns everything.
They do. I just started thinking about The Simpsons had a little video out welcoming their new corporate overlords.
Yes, I think like Homer was forcing his family to put on mouse ears.
He was, and then Marge put the mouse ears on her head, over her hair, and the hair shot the mouse ears off and hit something in the air, and it was Dumbo that landed on Homer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool, pretty funny.
But yeah, just sticking in the Disney theme, Star Wars, great game series. And if you own Star Wars Battlefront, there's a special VR level download. It's a standalone VR level based on the Rogue One film. Okay. Yeah, based on Rogue One. So I got to play that as well.
Oh, okay.
And you are literally sitting in the cockpit of an X-wing.
That's awesome.
Like, the whole thing is in front of you. When you turn around and look behind you, there's your droid. You're like your R2 unit, your R2 unit, or whatever you want to call it, is right behind you. I'm like, and your mission is to protect basically protect the ship that's carrying Princess Leia with the message.
Oh,
help me. Right. Yes. Your job is to protect that ship as everybody's trying to destroy it. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but just the idea of like, okay, a full Star Wars game like this would be insane. Like, imagine Rogue Squadron as a VR game. It's that type of thing.
Let's face facts. Hello Kitty can come out as a VR game. We're probably all going to look at least to do the demo of it, because just everything looks cool in VR, which I've been saying for a long time. Now, if you don't have a PlayStation, because it is a bit pricey. I mean, it's been coming down in price, but the PlayStation VR is a little bit pricey. But also, if you don't want to go that heavy into it, like a headset and all that stuff, PlayStation is not the only home console that has not recently, but that has now a VR adapter to it. As this week, actually yesterday, just came in the mail.
Uh-huh. Very nice.
Nintendo Labo, I think it's version 4, kit
Okay.
4. Yeah. Um VR, virtual reality. I mean, this box is massive. I have the other one of the other first Labo kits. I still haven't put it together. But this one just looks ridiculous. If
Yeah,
you
and and leave it to Nintendo. Obviously, you want to jump in on the VR thing while it's still hot.
No, it's
Um,
gonna be, and it treats it treats it like a cell phone
mhm.
VR. Basically, if you've seen it, even on a cell phone, you'll have like two lenses, if you will. And the
Yeah.
idea is to hold it close, but you have to have special like goggles so it
Hmm.
distorts it. But there's a lot of different versions of what you can play with this. A standard goggle set, which I'm curious about. That's gonna be cool.
Right.
Like a camera, a gun, something they call, is this it? And no, that's a bird, an
Huh.
elephant, but I don't know exactly what that does. So it just seems really, really cool. And this one, I really can't
Is
wait to
that
play.
just a standard
What do you mean?
VR? Like, or does it have all those elements in the box? Like the
Oh no,
elephant,
no,
the
no, no!
bird.
All those are all in here.
Got
Yeah,
it.
you can make them all. There's a camera, elephant, bird, wind pedal,
Okay.
blaster, and goggles. And with goggles, there are 64 different mini games and customize them in VR.
Hmm.
Of course, you can also create your own VR games with the Nintendo Labo, as you could with other Labo
Cool.
systems. And coming out next week, I believe it's next week, is VR updates to Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. See now that they've announced that, I have a feeling I'm in a lot of trouble.
Now, here's my question with that though, because with those right now, with the way this is, everything is handheld. Kind of like with the Google goggles or whatever you want to call them. Like you still
Yeah.
hold. So my question is, how do you play? Like I can't see holding it up here and then having the Joy Cons next to your head and playing. So I'm curious how that's going to work. But still, it's a
Yeah.
start. It's a start.
Well, I have again, this is a guess because I don't know. I have a feeling that you would only keep the Joy Cons on the console if you're using like the elephant or the bird or something like that. Um, exactly.
No, no, no.
So
They have here. Look at the box. Like you see how the Joy Cons are with the box.
yeah,
That's your standard VR. The thing in the middle.
right, right. What I'm saying is like the actual elephant and bird and stuff like that. Though something on those is going
Oh,
to
I
be
see
how
what you're
you
talking about.
control
I
the
see what you're talking
VR.
about. I gotcha.
I would assume for games like Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey, you would take the Joy Cons off and use them like regular. I'm assuming.
No, no, no. You're right. But then I'm curious. How do you keep the goggles on your head?
Why don't you disconnect the Joy Cons?
But there's no strap to the goggles. Think of a virtual
Oh,
boy. I know.
oh.
Yeah.
You can't wear the
No,
VR.
no, no.
Oh, that doesn't make sense to me. Okay, well,
So
you know what?
like,
There's one easy way to find out, Larry, and that's to put yours together.
as soon as I have time. so, so yeah,
But
this is yeah.
yeah, why is it
Let me
that
ask,
always happens when I'm recording?
uh,
Uh,
let me ask you a question. Do you remember, unless this past weekend was the first time, do you remember the very first time you tried virtual reality?
oh, that's a good question. This may have been no, this wasn't the first time, I guess. Um, the first one I remember is actually fairly recent. It might have been last year.
Oh wow. Okay.
And then, like I said, I think the reason was I was very reluctant to do it
Mm-hmm.
because
Because
of
of
my
what you mentioned. Yeah.
yeah, because of my stupid head, stupid migraines. But I did one of those experiences. They're called the Void. Have you heard of the Void?
What? That sounds familiar.
So the Void is kind of a roaming VR pop up, let's
Okay.
say, and they rotate between different types of experiences. Two of the most well-known ones they have, there's a Ghostbusters one and there's a Star Wars one.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a Void in our mall by me in the Glendale Galleria. You've been to the mall by me.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So right in that, right, the outdoor mall is there. Across the street is the indoor mall, and in the indoor mall there's a Void.
Mm-hmm.
Um, By the way, I also found that on Friday that there is also a void at downtown Disney at
Oh,
Disneyland,
okay.
and they have their Star Wars one there. So I went with three friends and we played the Star Wars void. Now,
Hmm.
the way that VR worked is you put on the headset, you have a backpack and a gun in your hand because you're going to kill the
Sure, it
bad
wasn't
guys.
Ghostbusters.
Definitely wasn't Ghostbusters, but I guess they have all and they have all this tech on you, and you put on the headset. And unlike a virtual reality game where like a lot of them you're just standing still, in this VR experience you're actually walking through rooms.
Oh wow.
So like you get like when we went into this room and then we were on a platform and we were being transported from our ship onto a planet. So you're literally standing there and you're looking down. There's a whole bunch of lava underneath you and everything like that.
Hmm.
And then you land on the platform and then you get the doors open to the facility and then the door in the room actually opens for you as well and you move into the next room.
So you're literally in real life walking.
Yeah, you're walking through
Oh
rooms.
wow.
Now if you take the VR headset off, all those rooms you're walking through, they're just blank rooms. You know what
Oh,
I
I'm
mean?
sure
They're,
they get
you know,
it
they're
bends
just
me.
right. They're just white walls. But with the
Yeah.
headset on, you're moving into these other rooms, and then you're getting the full visual of it.
Yeah.
And you're shooting stormtroopers, and Darth Vader shows up, and stuff like that. And it
Wow.
was actually a really cool experience, and it was interesting because you got to move through these rooms. That was my very first experience with VR.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, and that was the one where I was like, oh, I was like, you know what? I go, I can handle this. This isn't too bad.
Not the worst thing.
No.
All
So
right.
so yeah, that was my first, and then my second one was just last Saturday with about a week ago, a little over a week ago with the PlayStation VR. But now when I got home that day, I immediately went online, ordered the PlayStation VR. It showed up on Wednesday.
Beauty.
I've only played it, I've only played it like 3 days,
Yeah.
3 days worth of playing. And I only have two games, two
Okay.
full games. I've got Beat Saber and I've got Borderlands because they came with.
Oh, okay.
It was like a whole package. It was
Yeah.
the VR, it was the VR headset, two Move controllers, PlayStation camera, Borderlands, and Beat Saber, whole big pack.
That's
And
not bad.
yeah, so I have only been playing Beat Saber. Borderlands, I don't know. It doesn't look that appealing to me, but I'll try it at some point.
Huh.
I was like, but like I said, I was gonna buy it to play Beat Saber. So I started playing Beat Saber on Wednesday. As of Saturday, I am already playing on the expert level.
There you go. Holy
So,
Lord. That's it.
well, they have a campaign mode that
Yeah.
makes it easy to basically as you go through the campaign mode, you're learning all the shortcuts so you can
Oh, gotcha.
hit the things
Gotcha.
faster. So I've been going. So and you know what? If you play through that campaign mode, I think they make it a little bit harder than the actual level, maybe. But you pick it up really. You learn all the little tricks as you're going through it, so that you can play the harder levels.
All right.
But they also have Expert Plus.
Oh, Lord.
So I'm not anywhere near that. Expert is hard enough, so I'm dealing with that. And then I've been playing a couple of things on the demo disc.
Okay.
There's a cool little game called Moss that I tried.
It must be
Where
a newer demo disc than I got. Okay.
yeah, so you're playing as this little mouse, and you get called on to go on an adventure, and it seems Zelda-esque to me.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And so like
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, so you start going like for example, like you're walking through like as you're walking through the forest because you're a little
Okay.
mouse, so you're going through logs and stuff like that. But then all of a sudden, like you get to this screen, and I'm walking through the forest, and I look up, and here's a giant deer right in front of me that's just drinking water out of the pond, and I'm like, wow, I'm literally just stopped to look at it, and I'm like, wow, okay,
Nature.
yeah. I was like, this is the closest I'll ever get to nature because I don't like it. I
See,
don't like
we are. Nature sucks. Give me fake nature. See, we are living in the oasis.
We are. I want fake nature.
I'm
I do.
telling you.
Now, look, now I'm very pro nature. I do believe in preserving our planet and all that stuff. I just prefer not to be out in it.
Well, where you live, it's constantly on fire.
Well, that you know what that's kind of true too. So yeah, so I tried Moss. Moss is really cool. I have Resident Evil 7 and Rescue Bot on the way. I ordered
Okay.
those.
Wow.
So those
Okay.
Yeah, so those are on the way. And I'm gonna
Good.
pick up Battlefront just for the VR portion because you can get Battlefront at GameStop now used for $5.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, and the Rogue One VR download is free.
Oh,
If you own Battlefront, you download VR for free. So I'm
there
just
you
gonna hit
go.
up GameStop, grab that for $5, and download the VR and play that.
There you go. All
Yeah.
right. So, folks, let us know what you feel, your experience. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't tell you my first.
Yes.
You never.
What was your
You,
first time, Larry?
oh, my first time was sad, lonely, and very cold. No, actually, mine was I want to say in college. So it had to have been extreme late 90s, like 99, if not beginning of the 2000s.
Yep.
It was at, I don't know if they're even out there in California. Um, Dave and Buster's. What used to
Yeah, we
be,
have Dave and Buster's.
what were they before Dave and Buster's? They were
Oh,
Famous Dave's.
yes.
Famous Dave's. Had a VR Pac-Man.
Ooh.
So you were Pac-Man. You get in the big machine. I think it cost like $10 back then. You put the giant headset on and you just go. You're Pac-Man. You're in the maze, and the walls are like up to the ceiling. You can't see over it, and you just play Pac-Man. And when you turn a corner, and one of those damn ghosts come out of nowhere right in front of your face, you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah.
That was my first. Fittingly, that was my first experience with VR, and I loved it then. Like arcade VR is pricey, so I never really played much of it. But then I started doing the the VR on like the phones and everything, and that's when I started doing more and more, and then hence the PlayStation VR and now the Nintendo Labo VR. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Now, I was going to say one really quick thing I wanted to touch on outside of that was we were talking earlier about why VR doesn't seem to be catching on, or how we think it may be in its infancy. I will say the one stigma that does prove to be true with it, and I do think it's a big drawback, so they need to solve it quickly, because that's why I think it struggled for a while.
Okay.
Is it's a very isolated experience. Now, granted,
Oh, yes.
we all play our games solo, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, but a majority of players now are moving to multiplayer online kind of games. So there's a social aspect to it. You're talking to other people, or you're playing against other people. I'm like, that's the thing. I really think that if they really want this to stick around and succeed, and I do think that it has the ability to do that, they have to solve that problem. Because I immediately, like, even playing Beat Saber, like I love playing it, and not it's a great game. It's super fun. It's actually a really good cardio workout, and they tell you that too.
Oh, I can imagine.
So like, yeah, I did it for an hour on Thursday morning, and
Wow.
I was like I did it for an hour in sweats because I was sweating. It was a workout. But at the same time, I'm sitting there thinking, as fun as this is, I would love it to be kind of like Rock Band, where it's like I've got other people, and maybe it's not that we're playing together, but playing against them or whatever, just so that there are other, there's some type of social aspect to it. Right now, there isn't any, at least that I know of. And I don't know much yet.
No, I think the social aspect right now is what you experience when you're at your friend's house. Like everyone's around. Hey, let's watch them play.
Yes.
Because sometimes, especially newbies who play VR, like they have no idea what to do. They're not used to that almost sensory deprivation, because now you have the controllers and now your hands, depending on the games and stuff like that. So sometimes it's just funny to watch the person play the game. But you're right. As you can see, that so much detail goes into these. First of all, you can't even physically hook up a second VR to a PlayStation. So unless it's like a LAN party, I think that's one way of doing it.
Yep.
Maybe online down the road, but you're exactly right. I think that's going to be it. But VR in itself, to me, just seems very one player. Always has been. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. This is all still very new, as far as the home system. So we'll see. We got time. We got all the time in the world, especially since some stories have come out that supposedly the next generation of systems may be the last generation of systems.
Yes, I heard about that.
So, we'll see what happens. We'll talk about that on a future episode. But for now, let us know what you feel about virtual reality, your first virtual reality experience. Do you have an Oculus? Do you have a PSVR? Do you now have a Nintendo Labo Toy-Con kit? Let us know on Facebook, on Instagram, and we'll see what happens when you step into virtual reality. Okay, so you know what, folks? We're in a lot of spots on the internet.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, where are just some of the places that you can find us?
Well, here and there.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can, well, obviously you can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, like Spreaker, iTunes, and some other places. If you happen to listen to us on iTunes, please give us a good 5-star rating. Those are always very much appreciated and very helpful to us. You can check us out on Facebook, on our actual webpage, theretrogamers.com. You can watch us on YouTube. And find us on Instagram. We're kind of everywhere.
We are, like you mentioned, Spreaker, iTunes, everywhere. And also physically, we're going to try and be everywhere because coming up this summer, June 1st and 2nd, I'll be at CradleCon here on Long Island. Actually, both these shows are out on Long Island, both at the Cradle of Aviation Museum in Garden City. So get your tickets for CradleCon, June 1st and June 2nd. You can check our website for links there. And the big one for us this year is going to be the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo.
Yes, we are going to be at the Long Island Retro Gaming Expo with an actual table.
Yeah.
So you're going to be able to come visit us and talk to, well, you can, I don't know why you want to, but you can talk to us.
Why not? We'll
in person.
We'll be doing podcasting. We'll be live streaming if the streams hold up. We'll have some games there to play. That's August 10th and 11th. Mm-hmm. Yes, SummerSlam weekend. But it's August 10th and 11th. Again, check our website for links where you can buy your tickets now. Yep. And hopefully there'll be more cons to come. And we will kind of take it from there as we continue on with the show. All right. So, we're going to start to wrap this up. We got some news to talk about. We got some things to talk about. But I just want to say, last week I wasn't here. I was in Brooklyn for WrestleMania.
How was that 36-hour show?
Ooh, it was a long one. I got to MetLife Stadium at 10:30 a.m., which is a half hour before the parking lot opens. There was a few cars already there, and already people starting to drink. I don't think they realize it's not to drive into the stadium parking lot.
No, that's the tailgate.
Yeah, that really was. And the New Jersey Police Department were having nothing. I love it. But no, in all honesty, it was so much fun. The tailgate was fantastic. Anthony Chu from the Yin and the Yang podcast was by. He was doing some videos. I tried to live stream for Talking More Wrestling. I was just having some trouble connecting, so that didn't work out too well. But we took a lot of pictures. A lot of people walking by saw the setup, and my mom's friend from work showed up as the spitting image of the Velveteen Dream. It was amazing.
Oh, are those the pictures you guys took?
Yes, that was my mom's friend. Oh my God, he was hysterical. He was hysterical. He said he couldn't get through the parking lot, let alone to his seat, without being like accosted every 5 seconds to have someone take a photograph with him.
That is awesome.
It was beautiful. And then WrestleMania was what it was. I'm just gonna say this real quick, then we'll get on to what I want to talk about. Of the 12 WrestleManias that I have been just privileged and honored to be able to go to, bell to bell, this has been my favorite one.
Oh wow.
Of matches. And it was just sweet. Luckily I didn't have the light blaring in my eyes like most of the arena did.
I heard about that.
I did have an argument with the boom camera crew. That was fun because they were my way.
You make enemies everywhere.
We didn't realize we basically were on the floor. Me and my dad, we had a little bit of a riser, but the boom camera decides to park right in front of us. Bad enough we had a pillar in front of us, which was fine. I deal with that accordingly. I go to him, like, matches start. I'm like, hey, can you guys... I'm not going to make the camera move. I get it.
Right.
But it's like a 5-man crew. So I tell the crew, I'm like, hey, can you guys just kind of move out of the way a little bit? The match has started. So look at me, they go, we're part of the camera crew. So when I went, okay, I paid $300 a ticket to be here. You guys are here for free. Move. And then all of a sudden, all right, let's get out of the way. Let's move. I was like,
hey, at least they listened to you.
Thank God. And then all the other cameramen kept coming by, just stopping right there, like, whatever.
Nice.
So with that, an awesome weekend. Didn't get home till about 2:45 in the morning. I just learned about this recently. There's a game that's being developed that is not a remake, not a sequel, but a spiritual successor to WWE WrestleFest.
That is
probably
correct.
one of the best arcade games. Forget about wrestling. Best arcade game.
Yeah. Oh, no question about it. WrestleFest is by far one of my favorite,
Yep.
if not my favorite arcade game. And granted, we're wrestling fans, so we're biased towards wrestling games.
A little bit, but I still think it's a great game on its own.
No. Yeah, I think it's a great game on its own too. It's one of those games that I always wish they just ported to a console in some way, shape, or form, and it just never happened. And they never even tried like replicating it in any way for their games. They just kind of moved on to other you can argue that like the Genesis and Super Nintendo games tried a little bit, but they weren't. It wasn't WrestleFest.
They did release a couple of years ago, but it wasn't successful. Like a remake of WrestleFest on the cell phone though. Android and iOS. It just didn't work.
No, and that's the problem. It's like you want to do it on console, especially when you have Xbox Live, you got PlayStation Network. It's like it's very easy to add it to there, And
it was current roster at the time. So you had like Cena, Undertaker, stuff like that. But I discovered this game. It should be coming out hopefully next year in 2020, called Retromania Wrestling. Mm-hmm. And it really does look like a bit of WrestleFest, and it's really cool. Again, and you check out the websites, retromaniawrestling.com. So, I looked at this and I'm like, oh, all right, someone's making a generic wrestling game, but it's not very generic at all. Basically, it is, how can I put this? It's not WrestleFest, but like they say, it's a spiritual successor. Right now, they're working on it for PC, but they're trying to get approval for home consoles. Just to run through very quickly kind of the stats on it. At launch, there'll be between 12 to 16 distinct playable characters, more available through DLC later on. 2 to 8 player local multiplayer online will be determined. They're working on one-on-one matches, tag team matches, battle royals. There will be ring entrances with entrance music. Nice. There will be multiple entrance attires for wrestlers.
Cool.
Very easy pick up and play gameplay. 2D pixel art, which looks really good. Crowd chants that react to the action on the screen, and more to come. So I'm like, all right, again, general wrestling game, kind of cool. Then you look at the roster. Mm-hmm. This is where it is not a general game. So, Ed, I don't know if you got a chance to look at the roster yet.
I have not, so please share.
So, here's who you have. Right off the bat, Animal and Hawk, WWE Hall of Famers, the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom are in this game.
That's a great start right there.
Yeah, and it's them. It is
and
them.
Actually veterans of the WrestleFest game.
Absolutely. We have, and this is how I discovered it because they signed a deal with this guy and his organization. ECW original Tommy Dreamer.
Very cool.
Game, along with his House of Hardcore Wrestling.
Oh, cool.
So the whole like the House of Hardcore ring and the logo, that's in the game. Gentlemen I saw at Madison Square Garden, which I'm going to, real quick, I just have to say as a wrestling fan, the weirdest sensation I ever had was walking into Madison Square Garden and not seeing a WWE ring.
Yep.
That was weird. But current Rev Pro British Heavyweight Champion, Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh, nice.
Going to be in the game. He's a New Japan Cup winner in 2018 and probably one of the hottest indie stars that are out there. Also, wrestling legend Austin Idol.
Oh, okay.
For NWA Georgia Heavyweight Champion.
Cool.
And then just recently announced during WrestleMania weekend, Stevie Richards, the Blue Meanie, and Hollywood Nova. Yes, the BWO.
The BWO.
And it is the BWO. Big Stevie Cool, the Blue Meanie, and Hollywood Nova.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's very awesome. More to come. Check out the website. It's very, little because they just started working on this. Again, we got like till next year to worry about it. But I am already psyched for this.
Yeah, no, it sounds awesome. And if it plays anything like WrestleFest, I'm all in for it. So
yep, that's
what's definitely looking forward to that.
We will see, and more news to come as we come. RetroSoft Studios are the ones that are making it. So
all right, Very cool. So we have that. We have a wrestling game to look forward to. I got a few bits of news that I wanted to shoot through really quickly.
Okay.
One of them is if you've heard of the game Octopath Traveler, it's
Yes.
kind of it's a JRPG style game that is on the Nintendo Switch exclusively.
Mhm.
I've been playing through it, at odd points throughout this since I bought it, and it's really fun. And I actually like the fact that I can kind of put it down and pick it up when I want to. Granted,
Yep.
I forget a little bit of the story, but so be it. But it is no longer going to be exclusive to the Switch.
Oh.
Sorry. As of June 7th, Octopath Traveler will now be available on Steam. So
Okay.
if you do not have a Switch, I highly recommend checking out Octopath Traveler. It's a great game.
Cool.
So you have that. Couple other things announced. One other thing announced for the Switch that I want to touch on is that some super rare games have been announced to be released on the Switch, and the name of the company is Super Rare Games. So Super Rare Games has announced 5 new physical releases coming to the Nintendo Switch in the near future. Okay. And the games are Rive Ultimate Edition.
Okay.
Which I've never heard of.
No.
This one I have Toki Tori and Toki Toki 2.
Ooh, that sounds familiar. Okay.
Yep. It's a puzzle Metroidvania kind of game.
Ooh.
Puzzle Metroidvania combo.
Okay. Okay.
There's an old point and click adventure game called The Dark Side Detective that will be coming.
Okay.
That's the one I'm actually most interested in because I love those point and click adventure games.
Mm-hmm.
Earthlock, which is another game, and Wolverblade, which is a kind of a beat 'em up, like a beat 'em up action game. I'm trying to remember if it was like Golden Axe or something that nature.
All right.
I don't remember exactly, but some really super rare games you may not have heard of on the way to the Nintendo Switch. Should be interesting to see.
Yeah. Cool.
A couple of other things. There is a new cartridge-based handheld console.
This I'm interested in.
Yes. Which, people are questioning. Is it a Nintendo Switch rival? Not so sure about that. But there is a console that's coming. It is handheld, but it can also connect to your TV the same way the Switch can. And it is going to be called the Evercade. And I'm just going to read off of this really quickly.
Go for it.
Evercade, a brand new handheld console with unique multi-game retro cartridges.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The console's already got several publishers on board, with 3 soon to be announced. Again, you will play games from the most popular consoles of the 8-bit and 16-bit era.
Oh, wow.
So they are specifically aiming at retro gaming.
Okay.
It has a rechargeable battery that lasts 4 to 5 hours.
Not bad.
They are practicing quality over quantity, and they connect to your TV via HDMI.
Beautiful.
No internet connection is required. The system has a retro, old school approach, and it will feature a screen that is 4x3.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
Tiny, but all right.
The reason, just a couple other things really quickly. These are a couple of quotes from them. We're retro gamers. We're a team of passionate gamers who want to create a single platform for retro gamers to enjoy their favorite games. We haven't developed this because we saw a gap in the market. This is a project being developed with passion.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see. The other things that they say really quickly. We're working directly with the original software emulator developers to support them for their hard work and also to ensure their emulation is accurately reflected on our hardware to deliver the best possible experience for you.
Okay.
And then the key things that they have in it that they point out: no internet required, connect to your TV via HDMI. Your games you get to keep forever. So in other words, it's not just a download that possibly disappears when you move on.
I gotcha.
You buy the games, you own the games.
Okay.
Ever expanding library, officially licensed content, collectible elements, ability to save your progress in all of these retro games. So the thing that immediately jumps out to me with this one is, again, Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox, they're pretty good on releasing some classics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially Nintendo. Their first party classics are available on Nintendo Online and all that stuff. They're always repeating it. But there are so many licensed games that we don't get to see on there because they don't want to pay the licensing fee or whatever it is. So we don't get to see that. So imagine like Evercade bringing Contra, to their system.
Yeah.
Or just other third-party games that you're used to playing. I don't know. It's not 64-bit, but think about stuff from Capcom, stuff from LJN, or other companies from way back when. So this is an interesting one to watch. It's actually set to launch. Evercade is set to launch in 2019.
Oh, okay.
The exact release date will be shared soon, and you can sign up with your email on their website if you want to get more information. And their website is evercade.co.uk.
Oh, okay. All righty.
They are overseas, over the pond.
Gotcha.
All right, and the last but not least piece of news, and Larry, you will personally be very happy about this.
Oh.
But you just purchased the Nintendo Labo VR kit.
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did, and we talked about it at length. There is somebody has discovered a Virtual Boy Easter egg in the Nintendo Labo VR.
Wait, I thought we retired this. Can you say that one more time?
I thought we retired this too, but apparently we can't. Okay,
it will never die.
Basically, well, yours died. Yours died. Yours died a horrible.
I don't want to remember.
We have video.
Shush.
So the latest Virtual Boy Easter egg featured in the Nintendo Labo VR kit software is perhaps the best one we've seen yet. If you enter the video section of the game, you'll come across a short clip showing the Virtual Boy running a copy of Mario Tennis. Again, it's just a video, so don't expect to be able to play the title, but you can watch a video of Mario Tennis being played on a Virtual Boy in the Labo.
I am in.
And that's the last bit of news that I currently have. and hopefully the last bit of news ever involving the Virtual Boy.
Well, yes, it will be for our show.
Yes.
Well, not news, but just general talk. All right, so you know what? Let's close this out with talking. I mean, by the time this drops, the stream will be over. But let's talk very quickly about the Hope Station from our friend Josh at Victims and Villains, because this apparently, it's going to be happening every now and again. So.
Yeah, I think he's planning on doing it I want to say almost like every 6 months.
It seems like it. It
seems to be every 6 months he's going to be doing these live streams again. Josh over at Victims and Villains, if you've never listened to his show, I mean, he talks everything nerd.
Yep.
So you think of anything nerd, he's covering it. But at the same time, he's also always he's also a suicide prevention podcast and proponent. So he likes to tie those two things together. It's a very worthy cause. When he does his Hope Station, he's raising money for mental health awareness, and he does it in various ways. This one specifically that we just did this weekend was to raise money for mental health awareness resources in schools. Because let's face it, as he always says on our show, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in America today, or in the world today. And let's face it, kids today, kids are always very impressionable. We're constantly dealing with the concept of cyberbullying, thanks to the birth of the internet and things like that. So getting those resources in schools so that kids can learn at a young age about obviously the importance of being aware of these types of things and learning them, ingraining them in them young so that they don't become susceptible to them, I think is very important.
And definitely, as I mentioned, no donation is too small, no donation is too big. So when you get a chance, definitely check them out and check out some of the streams. Even if it's not live, just go back and watch some. I know I did 2 sessions. I played some various NES classic NES games. What happened was I was going to hook up like my Wii U and everything, and with the move, with some things it didn't work out too well. So as much as I'm not a proponent of this, I borrowed a NES Classic that may or may not have been adjusted because I didn't want to sacrifice anything for the Hope Station. So hopped on there. I actually played Saturday morning cartoon games. Nice. I tried to. I was terrible at them, and especially DuckTales 2. I didn't realize how bad I was at DuckTales 2 because I like DuckTales 1. So I did some of those, played some other random games. And then in the evening when I played NES game show games. That was fun.
I particularly enjoyed you playing Wheel of Fortune because I was trying to give you the answers.
Well, I left the chat room.
I know you did. My job was done.
Well, so that allows everyone in the chat room to play along.
Yeah.
And I
So,
will.
and by the way, you're a certified public accountant. I knew that.
I'm like it's person, so I'm trying to think of a name. I forget. It could have been a title. It should have been title. What was it? Oh yeah. Then I played what I played. I played Jeopardy Junior and Wheel of Fortune Junior. Jeopardy Junior almost kicked. I mean, I was kicking my butt for a little while. There was some $1,000 questions I was able to land, but I am not good at fairy tales.
I missed that part of the stream, but I'll take your word for
it. So go back and check. And you played a couple of good games.
Yeah, I did. So I did. I also did 2 streams. The first one I did was covering. I did the Sega Genesis or Sonic's Genesis collection on my Xbox 360.
Oh, that very cool.
Yeah, so I played through quite a few games. I went through like I didn't have time to beat any of them. I got to the end of one and lost, but I played Golden Axe 2,
okay,
Streets of Rage 3. I did a little Altered Beast, Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so all in all, I mean, all really fun. I love those like classics collections on these systems because there are so many things. And trust me, if I had the time, I would have jumped into Shining Force, but that's a whole other game, a super long one. And then on Sunday morning, I was supposed to play Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 on my Switch, but I was having trouble with the Switch hooking up to my computer so I could stream. I don't know what was going on. So I just defaulted to a couple of games that I play regularly, which are Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th on PlayStation 4.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, the Friday the 13th lobbies were being really slow, so I really only played that once. I played one game in Friday the 13th, and then the rest of it was all Dead by Daylight, which, to be honest with you, is the game is like my go-to game these days anyway. So yeah, so really good time. I always have a good time, streaming, especially when it's for a good cause. So just be on the lookout for more information on future streams for Victims and Villains with the Hope Station.
And I mean, look, you don't have to donate just during those live streams. You can donate whenever you get a chance.
That's true.
It's always worthy.
And again, we always say this too. It's like if you are unable to donate, because we understand. I mean, if you have other financial responsibilities, and that happens. If you are unable to donate, at least spread the word, because you may know somebody in your network, friend or family, that may be interested in donating to a good cause like that. So, just consider that as well.
And stop being cheap. Send $1. So.
Or stop being cheap and send $1.
All right. No, but anything helps out truly. And with that, I think we're going to wrap this one up. So this was a good episode, as always. And that's it, right? You got nothing happening?
I think that's it. I think we had a really good show. Like I said at the start of the show, it's good to have you back. It's good talking. Although Josh said he's trying to take over your network.
I heard.
One step at a time. So he did not succeed this week because while we were recording, he was actually live streaming for his Hope Station. So,
was he?
Yeah, I think Larry did this on purpose to make sure that Josh didn't take over this week.
Exactly. I like to see him take over talking more wrestling. Me, Brandon, and Jacob, Jacob, good guy. We did WrestleMania review for Victims and Villains and the indie scene and the G1 Supercard. We recorded for 3.5 hours.
Oh my God.
I'm like, Josh, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? And I would listen to it for about 3.5 minutes. Thank you.
Oh, it was actually fun. It was a good time.
Oh, no, I'm sure. No, I'm sure. You got all good guys. I'm sure you guys had a good time. There was a lot to talk about. It was a long weekend.
Woo, was it ever?
It was a long wrestling weekend. But in terms of gaming, like you said, I think we're done. This has been another amazing week, and we'll be back again next week.
Absolutely. In fact, we will be back right here next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.